Welcome back to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Water conservation means using our water wisely and caring for it properly. It's not just a job for technicians, city planners, or farmers. It's a job that each of us must recognize and take on as a personal responsibility in order to help keep our water pure and safe for generations to come. My next guests are Linda Reid. She's the Executive Director of Southeastern Wisconsin Watersheds Trust Incorporated, and Jacob Fincher. He is the Stormwater Program Manager. How are you?
Hi, doing well. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you both for being here. And I want to start off just right off the bat talking about what a watershed is.
A watershed. Well, imagine it's raining or snowing. When that precipitation comes out of the sky, it has to end up somewhere. So it lands on the ground, and the watershed is in the area within which that water drains.
Okay.
So maybe it'll soak into the ground, or it'll run off a parking lot into a creek, stream, or river. And in our area, it eventually drains into Lake Michigan.
Okay.
Kind of like a funnel. It all goes into one spot here eventually.
Okay, so now that people have a better idea of what that means, we can talk about what are some of the goals of the Southeastern Wisconsin Watersheds Trust.
Our mission is to protect and restore the greater Milwaukee watershed. So we're concerned about water quality in the rivers and streams and in nearshore Lake Michigan.
Okay, so when we talk about all of those things, people like to swim, people like to fish. It's important that these things take place in order to be able to do that, right? Yeah.
Right. Well, everybody wants clean water, right? You don't want to go swimming in a contaminated lake or river,
No,
right?
doesn't
makes
sound
sense,
fun.
right? Like, people want to go enjoy Bradford Beach, but you can't do that if it's closed down because of bacteria. But where does that bacteria come from? And so what we try to do is prevent these pollutants to getting into the water in the first place instead of cleaning it up on the back end, because it's more expensive to clean it up afterwards. So what we like to do is just offer simple tips to individuals, what they can do in their own homes and their daily lives. And just because I say simple, it doesn't mean it doesn't make an impact. If everybody takes action and does these little simple tips, it can make a huge, tremendous difference, and it really can.
Yes, it can. And like you said, knowledge is power.
Yep.
So it's hard not to recognize this cute little familiar face. That is Sparkles, the water spaniel. And it's kind of like your, I guess, should we say, your face of or muzzle of the campaign. We respect our waters.
We like Spokes dog.
Spokes dog.
Okay, Spokes dog.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk more about that campaign in just a little bit. And I'm sure a lot of people have seen the PSAs where Sparkles is really trying to help people better understand how their behavior can help make a difference. So I'm interested in bringing about the fact that there are water quality reports that indicate that 45% of U.S. streams, 47% of lakes, and 32% of bayous are polluted. And so over 1.2 trillion gallons of untreated sewage, groundwater, and industrial waste are discharged into U.S. waters every single year. When you think about that, there's a huge responsibility in going to deal with all of that. So what would you say is the number one cause of pollution?
What people don't understand actually is the number one cause of pollution is stormwater runoff. So when that rain hits the ground, it picks up everything that's on the ground, on the pavement, in the parking lots, on the way to where it's going to end up. And that could be lawn fertilizer, dog waste, chemicals, salt. That's really a big problem here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's a little bizarre, right? Because it's stormwater, something that's a natural process. We don't think of it as leading to pollutants getting into our rivers. But when we realize how much water comes down during a storm event, that water runs over the surface of the earth, picks up contaminants like the ones that Linda described, and then that all has to go somewhere. It goes downhill, usually into a creek or a river or into our streets. And those streets have storm drains in them. And those storm drains, most often than not, they lead directly to a river or lake. And that's not, they don't treat that beforehand, which a lot of us don't understand. So if we were to pour a can of old motor oil directly down a drain, that doesn't get treated. It's not a trash receptacle. If it's not rain, it doesn't belong in the drain.
There it is. I like that.
Yeah, there you go. Right?
He's a poet and didn't know it. So this is the thing. You are the Stormwater Programs Manager. So this is something that you're extremely passionate about in dealing with your job title alone. So what are some of the responsibilities that go with that?
Yeah. It's an odd thing to be passionate about water, right? But I do.
Not at all.
It involves all sectors of our lives, and so having clean water is important for everyone. And so what I do, with the help of our spokesdog Sparkles here, is we go out into the public and we teach people about the simple tips that I mentioned before. These little things that we can do, making sure that we're not sweeping grass clippings or leaves into our streets, and finding out our municipality, how they want us to handle those sources of pollution, like leaves and grass clippings, and telling them what they can do to prevent these pollutants from getting into the water in the first place.
Wow, and people kind of think that grass and leaves and things, they just kind of go away.
Right.
But when you talk about everybody raking, or really my pet peeve, and I'm probably one of those people that's a little over the top, but when people mow their lawn and then just leave the clippings just to blow away, that drives me nuts. But I mean, there is a proper way to dispose of everything. So where I live, you are not allowed to put grass clippings in with compost and things of that nature. So it's important to understand how everything works so that you really can help make a difference, because you got some people who fertilize and do their pesticides and things just whenever they feel like it, but you need to kind of pay attention to the forecast. If it's going to rain anytime soon, you definitely don't want that stuff kind of going right into the waterways.
Precisely.
Right?
It's just making conscious decisions and being responsible with our actions. Just as recycling has become a part of our daily lives, and making sure that we're conscious of where it goes after we're done with it, we hope to spread that message to the public and realize that what we do in our backyards, out in the streets, out in public, it has an effect on our waterways, even if you live miles away from a river or a lake. And so what Sparkles and I do is go out into the community, and if there's an event going out in your community, we can come out there and teach at schools, wherever we can help spread this message of clean water is important.
Yes, and we have that very effective campaign, Respect Our Waters, that is in effect as we speak. And you talk about the impact of Sparkles and being able to really help educate. And we've got an example of how well he does that. We talked about rain barrels in the first segment. So here's Sparkles giving us a little more information on rain barrels and how they can help make a difference.
Roll out the barrel.
Whoa, stop. What's this about?
I'm celebrating a new rain barrel.
Yeah, it's a nice extra source of water for my garden.
Plus, the barrel and the rain garden help slow the flow of rain runoff into the storm sewers, which is good for the environment. And that calls for some positive reinforcement. Roll out the barrel. Or not. This is Sparkles, the water spaniel, saying help slow the flow of storm waters. Log on for more details. Oh.
I wish I had one of those. Clink, 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 clink.
From that
he's
video,
hilarious.
right? Yeah.
I love that.
He is. I mean, it takes a lot for me to laugh at a video, and he cracks me up.
Well,
He
that's how people
cracks me up.
remember, though. They remember the message because there is some humor in there, but really he is breaking it down. Something else that happens, you know, people have leaky cars, leaking antifreeze, oil, things of that nature. They may not think it's a big deal, but it really is. And once again, Sparkles is here to break it down.
What was that for?
Well, that's a reminder to get your car serviced. Come on, you're leaking all over the street. That stuff goes right into the storm sewers, straight into our lakes and rivers untreated.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And I'm the one on a leash.
Well, I'll get it serviced next week, I promise.
Ah!
Hey, tomorrow.
Now go to your rave or whatever you kids do. Cleaner water is a matter of proper training. I'm Sparkles, the water spaniel. Log on to find out more.
There it is. So kids love Sparkles, I would imagine.
Yeah. We get to go out into schools, and it's a really fun time to go into those schools and show these videos to these kids. They get all excited, and then he makes a guest appearance like he has today, and the kids get all excited, and then we get to talk about how important it is to make sure that we are responsible with our actions, because we really do have a direct impact on our lakes and our rivers.
It's true, and this was something that I probably didn't give a lot of thought, like especially during the summer months when people are washing their cars. You guys suggest washing it on your lawn. Or just going to the car wash. Not just doing it right there on the concrete where it's all just going down into the waterways, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you wash your car on your lawn with a product that's good for your lawn, it waters your lawn, cleans your car, and it keeps the pollutants out of the roadways. I think it's really important to add as well that people should find out what works in their own communities, because every community is different.
Yeah.
And so in the Milwaukee area, some folks are in the combined sewer area where water that goes down the sanitary or the storm drains is treated as part of the process, and others it drains directly to rivers and streams. And then some communities have certain ways to pick up those grass clippings and leaves. So don't just assume because that your neighbor 20 miles away does it one way, that's the way you should do it. Find out what's right.
I think you've given us great information. I would like to wrap up just putting this out there. Our rivers and Lake Michigan, they're much healthier than they were 10 years ago, but they still are facing some major challenges, especially when you look at President Trump proposing to slash the Environmental Protection Agency funding that pays for Great Lakes pollution cleanup by 97%. So we're quickly running out of time. Why should people be concerned about that?
Well, I mean, we all depend on clean water for our economic reasons, recreational reasons, aesthetic reasons. But the good thing about Sparkles and the Respect Our Waters campaign and the Sweetwaters, our Southeastern Wisconsin Watersheds Trust work is we teach people that it's things that we can do today, right now, as we move forward, going forward, that we have a direct connection to our waterways, and we are the ones that can help protect and make sure that we have clean water resources.
So when it comes to political scenarios that do affect the work that you do, how do you deal with that?
I think the beauty of the living in the Great Lakes is there is broad bipartisan support for funding and supporting the kind of work that we do and the folks that we work with, because we all realize what an important part the lakes are of our lives and our lifestyles.
Yes, indeed. I thank you both for being here and sharing the great information today. Continued success with all that you're doing. Linda Reid is the Executive Director of Southeastern Wisconsin Watersheds Trust Incorporated, and Jacob Fincher, he serves as the Stormwater Program Manager. For more information on anything that we've discussed today, you can visit swwtwater.org or go to respectourwaters.org. That is going to do it for today's show. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope you join us again next week as we take another look at our issues in Milwaukee. Have a great day.